Hi, I'm Sailor Venus Mina here, and today I'm going to talk about, well, why no YouTube mateship. Okay, now the YouTube mateship has only been around since 2007 YL, of course, and there are a lot of YouTube mates, some big, some small, and why we never went for it. Well, first off, back in the day, becoming a YouTube business mate or whatever you want to call it, was a hard thing. It wasn't something that every fairway could be, even if they wanted to be. And even now, it's still hard to get into it. There was all these things that you had to fill out, you had to write out. And then you had to have a certain number of followers. Your watch time on your films had to be this number, and not everyone was going to meet it. And they were going to shift. They were always going to shift the oversight many times too. So even if you had the right number of followers, and even if you had enough watch time, there might be this one oversight they might shift somewhere, and next thing you know, you still are not a YouTube business mate, which some folks think is actually this really good thing. Which keep in mind here about the upsides and the downsides of it. Yes, the upside is you do get income from Google, through YouTube, through the Google AdSense, not to be not to be confused, not to be misled or misbelieved by Google AdWords, which is a complete another tool. Now, the downside is that you do gotta follow the YouTube fellowship oversight. You do have to follow the ownership law, and you do gotta follow the YouTube oversight of business. If you gotta follow all three of those things, and it's not over because then you gotta follow the YouTube mateship oversight. So there's a lot of things that your fairway and your films have to follow. So it's not good enough that you're in good standing with probably three out of them. You got to be in good standing with all four of them, and who knows what else. The downside is that your films have to be looked at by YouTube every time you upload them if you're a YouTube business mate. Something that you don't have to do if you're a non-mate. So if you're a non-YouTube mate, no one's going to look at your films unless someone flags it or whatever. So anyway, it was never our goal to be a YouTube business mate. And I know that might make some folks on some here mad, because some folks believe that's what everyone's goal should be, and it's not. You know, too many downsides and not too many upsides. First off, that is a form of income, so it is tollable. And if you're on some kind of income that's not towable, like with, say, SSI or something, or Team Stronghold Guild, or something like that, that is tollable. So if you don't want to have any kind of toll reckoning, you're going to get one with that. Yeah. Two, and that goes all being said. So if you want to have a toll reckoning, then by all means do that. But for some folks who don't want to have a toll reckoning, don't do it, because you are going to get a toll reckoning. That's just the way it is. And there is no answerability with the YouTube mateship. So if something goes wrong, yeah, you can send them, you can email them, but that's all borrowed words. I mean, you could send them through the interwebs, but they may or may not get back to you, and they may or may not fix the hang up. There are so many oversights that you have to be in good standing with. You'll never know if you're not. You truly never know if you're not in good standing with any one of the oversights unless YouTube tells you. So yeah, a lot more oversights you got to follow, and you're always having to be worried about always being fearful about Google AdSense or the Google AdSense team believing that you're working the Google AdSense tool in a way that doesn't follow YouTube or Google or any of their oversights. You can lose the Google AdSense that way. And if you lose that, then you can lose your partnership. You can lose your mateship, which is hard to get back since it was hard to get in the first step. So yeah, and it's not really worth it. All the headaches that came along with it. We never wanted to have our films looked at because there's always that one seek of someone making a mistake. Someone looking at your films, if you're a YouTube mate, and saying, "Oh, well, you're not following YouTube followership oversight," or someone says you're not on looking my ownership of my work, or someone says, "Oh, but you're not business-wise friendly," or whatever. There's so many other ones, or you're not following a YouTube, oversight of business or whatever. So too many oversights that you can get hang up with. For a non-mate, you only got 3 things to be in good standing with. It was never one of our things, and never wanted to go through all the things of, being fearful of how much they were going to make, being fearful of how much toll was going to be taken out, being fearful how they were going to have to go by, being fearful if they were going to have to call themselves they're working, either being working for someone or not working for someone, being fearful about where their good standing was from day to day with their films, and wondering if they were business-wise friendly. Wasn't for us, alright? It never will be for us. And the way things are going, YouTube is really going to shift how the YouTube business mate works for folks that are already in it and folks getting into it. We just never want to be into it. Our thing was just to be a non-YouTube business mate and just get whatever gifts that YouTube gives you right off the front for being in good standing with followership oversight, ownership law, and YouTube, rights of business. And that's about it. Didn't want to have no toll reckoning out of it. Didn't want to always have to be fearful. Oh, I sure hope YouTube doesn't. Always being fearful that someone at YouTube didn't say, "Oh, you weren't following followership oversight." Someone says you were unlooking their ownership of their film or of their work. Or some business-wise says you were unfriendly and they don't want to buy any time on your films or your fairway. All that shit one can get into. And that was never going to be us. Plus, another big thing was our watch time was never going to be good enough for anyone. Yeah, we don't really get a lot of watch time on our films, which is true. You might look down at you'll say that's shit, but if you look down at the bottom and you see the most watched films, you'll see that those are just the small ones. Because we don't really get a lot of watch time for our films. And it is what it is. Even though we might have a lot of followers, our watch time is small, and it's never going to get any more bigger. So, no, it was not worth going for. It's not worth it, at least not in my belief. If someone wants to go for all that shit, then that's their own business and good for them if they get in. But for me, for us, we just never want to go for that and never will. And also, maybe we lose, maybe we don't. Also, maybe you don't get to see business-wise things all over your YouTube fairway or your films, or, oh, maybe we don't get some kind of income. Okay, that's fine. But all the other gifts, and maybe you don't get over talk when you're doing a YouTube live stream or a Google Hangout. Okay, big deal. But everything else you get as a nun mate, that's good with us. All right? Yeah. I'm Sailor Venus. Mina, hope you like this film.